All right, Brad. So December 18th, we got an exciting fight, maybe. We got the rematch of Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley. Jake Paul coming off a very, very narrow victory over Tyron Woodley, if you look at the scorecards. Um, so I think, Woodley has a chance. What are your thoughts on this fight?
I think Woodley has a much better chance than Jake Paul this time. A lot of people hate on Woodley. He still has it in him. He just didn't let anything go. If he actually goes out, which this is the hard part because Woodley's heard this for years and Tyron's still not done it.
I know it.
You know, go out there and let your fucking hands go, and then I think that he'll win that fight in the first 4 rounds. I would say. I think that if he goes out there at the same pace, all it's going to be is the same exact thing. Maybe he drops Jake Paul this time. Maybe he wins another extra round. Um, but I would see if I don't think if he goes out there the same exact way that he's going to pull this fight off. Even on 2 weeks' notice, I think he's been training that entire time for Jake Paul.
No, I agree. I think this is like one of those fights where, like you said, it's probably his last, what, fucking 6, 7 fights now that people have been like, even longer, because he has the the record for a title holder throwing the least amount of punches in a fight against Damian Maya. You know, like he threw like, I don't know what it was, like 4 punches. You know what I mean? He just didn't throw anything in that fight. And given he won or whatever, but that's just because David Maya's a wrestler to begin with. So boxing is throwing hands, you know. And what are you gonna do? Are you gonna be a counter puncher? Because he wasn't counter punching in between the rounds. We were watching that. There were rounds where like he just wasn't punching at all during that fight. And then he would have rounds where he would let his right hand go, connect, and then you would see Jake Paul get thrown against the ropes. His hand still has some power behind it, but I feel like he's trying to set it up so much that he's just not throwing anything. And that's just not how you set it up, especially in boxing, right? You got to get a jab going. You got to get your straights going. You got to get something like that going to set up that overhand right like he has. Cuz he is powerful, and the one thing Jake Paul really had over him in that fight was just his combinations, cuz he went in there and just threw simple, punching bag combinations on Tyron Woodley. There wasn't anything super impressive. It was just what an average boxer would do, and it's just something Tyron wasn't doing. He just wasn't letting his hands go. They would be simple jabs, simple straights, and not throwing very many combinations.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how Jake Paul comes out in this fight too, actually, knowing that he's felt Tyron's power because whatever I know he can talk all the shit that he wants, but he did feel it. That's why he was out. He would have hit the ground. That would have been a knockdown had the ropes not caught him. He felt that power, and I'm curious to see how he goes in. Now he knows not to really take risk with Tyron Woodley because he doesn't want to be caught like that again. Because you never know, getting caught like that again might be the last time you get caught. Um, and I think that, to be honest, I think Jake Paul, when he said it, and he's right, he's got more to lose in
Yeah,
this fight. Because you can stop Jake Paul's momentum right now. Tyron Woodley's not, the dude's done with the UFC, obviously. He ain't going to have no fucking boxing career.
he can go
I
fight
mean,
for
he's not
Eagle
that.
maybe. He can go fight for Habib maybe.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if he wants to wrestle again. Um, but no, he's just, there's not a lot of opportunities for him anyway. So getting this win just gets him more money and it'll give him more opportunities. But guess what? If he loses, he still makes a lot of money. He still has just about the same amount of opportunities and he's in the same position. He's already lost once. What's the bet? When you losing again to the same person,
Yeah,
whatever. And as long as he doesn't get knocked out, he can still claim he won like he did last time, which I mean, he didn't.
yeah,
Uh, but yeah, if he actually goes in there, takes some risks, get in there, he needs to fight in that phone booth. He needs to get close.
exactly.
He needs to make sure that he's really dirty boxing, lighten him up in the clinch. Which there was a tiny bit of that, but I was so surprised when I watched him fight that he didn't have any more clinch work.
Hmm.
As good as he is as a grappler, he can hold Jake Paul there, get your shots in, get some power shots to that body, weaken him up, And if he does that and drags him again, if he can go out there and fight like that and get him into the fourth to fifth round like that, I think he's out. I think Jake Paul goes out.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
Tyron can either learn from his mistakes in the last fight and improve upon them and have confidence going into this next fight because of the same thing. You've already felt his power. You didn't get knocked out. You feel like you even won the fight, so maybe that's even more motivation. Or it did hit you. You are taking the fight because of money, and then you go out there and get even more embarrassed than the last fight. And not that it was embarrassing or whatever, because Jake Paul is a decent boxer, and I've been saying he could put his stuff together, but it's nothing that we wouldn't see from any other pro boxer. You go back and watch that Woodley fight, especially the highlights. There's several of them on YouTube. It's very sloppy. Great thing about Jake Paul, where he shines as a fighter, especially on the main stages. He's quick. I'll give it to him. He's got some quick hands, you know. But it's nothing that you wouldn't see again from anything else that from sparring on a punching bag or in the ring with somebody. They're not crazy combinations, you know. They're very simple. So if you know they're coming, you can block those. You could block body, you could block head, and then just go in with your power. Cause how old is Woodley now? 36? I don't even know how old he is now.
more than that. I think he's like
38?
39.
Oh, 39?
He's 39, yeah.
Wow. So even at 39, I think his right hand holds more power than Jake Paul. So,
Yeah, but Jake Paul has the power of PEDs in his knuckles.
which is very true. Maybe that's
You know what
something
I'm
we need to
saying?
touch on very quickly.
When you got fucking Test and 200 backing you up, you good to go, dog.
Do you
You
think
can
he
knock
didn't
out
do you think
anybody.
he didn't show his face cuz his body is like full of acne right now from all the PED?
Nah, he probably. I think he didn't show his face because he had a mask that was just slowly dripping performance enhancing drugs into his face. Um, like one of those that you go to sleep in. It was like that, but for steroids.
So if Jake Paul loses, what's next? Does he stop this? Does he just look for another money fight he can
I
win?
don't know. I think Jake Paul. I don't think it stops it. I think it doesn't matter. I think if Jake Paul loses, he still has that Tommy Fury fight either way, I believe. And I think Tommy Fury would definitely take it. Jake says he's not going to give him another chance, but I think he would.
I agree.
Especially because if he does lose, that'll be the second build up to it. Like, oh, you can't beat a boxer. It might, or you can't beat Tyron Woodley. You definitely can't beat a boxer. I mean, and that would sell. But with Jake Paul, let's say he even fights him and loses. Jake Paul could literally at any time go back to fighting celebrities
Mm-hmm.
at any fucking time.
Yeah.
Um, if he were to lose, I mean, because think about that. Think about, oh, you think you're making fun of me from getting knocked out? Fucking LeBron James, get in here.
Well, yeah, it wouldn't be
You know,
LeBron, but yeah, I feel
I
you.
know.
LeBron might
LeBron
actually
ain't trying to
murder
get
him.